Hello and welcome to RollQuests, the channel dedicated to streaming role-playing games. Our first campaign is going to be run using Rolemaster. A Rolemaster was created back in 1980 by Iron Crown Enterprises. Now sadly in 1999 Iron Crown Enterprises went under and it looked like the end for Rolemaster. However, due to a very loyal fan base, the game remained popular, and finally Guild Companion Publications revitalized and re-released the system in 2007 as Rolemaster Classic. Now, several things make Rolemaster a very interesting system to play. First up, I suppose, is how deadly this combat is. Unlike other role-playing systems whereby you watch like a hit point bar slowly go down, in Rolemaster, you can literally be killed by a critical hit from even the lowliest of monsters, no matter how powerful you are. And secondly, there's a lot of companion books that came out for this system, and not just adding content like in other role-playing games, but more impressively, a huge range of optional rules and system mechanics. Now, this allows a game master to change their version of Rolemaster almost beyond recognition from the core rules, but keeping it within inside the actual rule mechanics itself. So our campaign that we're going to be running is going to be using the 1980s rule system with several optional rules added. Now, for any of you that are interested in Rolemaster and want to know more, I'll be putting links in the comments section below. Welcome to RollQuests. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of RollQuests. Yay! Let me just welcome you all to the team. First of all, we have Bree. Yay! Then we have Dave, Dominic, Dan, and Craig.
Greetings.
Fantastic. Well, as I said, welcome everybody to the very first episode of RollQuests, where we will begin our Rolemaster adventure. So without further ado, our tale begins in the early autumn of 1380, according to the old Empire calendar. In current days, people often refer to this year as 50E, 50 years after the ending. The ending was a major disaster for the whole of the cosmos, during which the material, shadow, and astral planes merged. Even though this merger did not last long, the effect had a devastating impact upon the people and the cities of the world. Whole nations fell, and countless people died, not just in the initial merger, but also in the fight for food and survival that followed. However, some parts of the world manage better than others. This is where I can quickly give you all a player map. First player map of the game. Woo! Player map. Go.
Let's see.
And for the audience, I've actually got a giant player map. There you go for the audience. Okay. To the far western side of Tamarid, a bird flies high in the evening sky, drifting slowly on the air currents as it looks down on the land below. The people here have always had a hard life. A lawless area full of brigands, slavers, and pirates. None have ever managed to bring these lands under any form of governance, and as such, the folk here are used to hard times and surviving from day to day. As the bird slowly descends, its black form hidden in the darkening night, it moves closer to the coastline, and below it spots the familiar small cluster of buildings. This is Baletown, a seedy port run by slavers and a land port for the last of the great ships, the Willbreaker. The bird flies low across the port, avoiding the tall mast of the great frigate. It turns and heads over the low inner walls of the port district. Finally, it comes to land at its regular nesting place, high on the roof of the Brass Nail, a dank and smelly inn at the edge of the marketplace. We move to looking inside the inn. We find the place to be busier than usual. Several new guests have come to town and are finding shelter for the night within its walls. Bree, do you wish to describe yourself?
Yes. I'm a female. We'll start there.
Yeah. A good place to
start. She's in her early 20s. She has very gold, almost white hair, very white skin, and she has a black cloak on with a black hood.
Fantastic. Dominic, do you wish to tell us what you look like?
So, sat quiet, tucked away in a corner, trying to avoid the gaze of everybody else in the bar, is a wood elf. Fair of feature, fine of form. Hair is a little ragged at the moment and unkempt. They are wearing rough, moss-covered clothing of some description, with bits of bark and wood stuck in it, and what looks like the head of a rabbit tucked off to one side in a badly cured pelt. They're staring quite intently at what everybody else seems to be eating and drinking, and just sitting quietly.
Very nice. Dan, do you wish to describe yourself?
Sure. Brooding in the far corner of the Brass Nail is a cloaked figure in light armor in dark, earthy tones. A rough face with faint bags beneath his bright green eyes and messy blonde hair stares down into a half-empty tankard.
Craig, do you wish to describe what you look like?
A weather-beaten, well-travelled looking individual. Indiscernible, between 40, 60. Obviously, in tired robes that look well-travelled. He has a staff in one hand, but is just currently leaning against a wall as he occupies one of the tables to one side, quite close to the bar. And he's just gazing around the room, just watching and listening.
Fantastic. I purposely skipped over Dave, and I will describe the fact that not more than a few moments ago, the door to the inn opened, and quickly in through the door, you noticed what seemed to be a man, a very tall, muscular man in rags, dashing quickly into the shadows into the one corner of the inn itself, where he was carrying a bag. And even though you all look across and it's shaded and dark in that corner, you think he's actually in the middle of getting dressed. So we'll let Dave describe himself in a moment. In the bar itself, you have the barman. He is busily cleaning glasses behind the bar while a young woman brings out a plate of food for one of the patrons. It's at this point a rather rough-looking man enters the inn, dressed in ragged black leathers, and despite his shabby appearance, he clearly has some importance here due to the look of foreboding that comes from the barman's face. The man walks up to the bar and looks at the barman and says, "Okay, it's time. Give us your weekly tithe." At which point the barman's like, "Oh, how much is it going to be this week?" The gentleman, or the shabby-looking man, looks back around the inn, sees all of you, and says, "Well, you seem to be quite full here tonight, so since you're so well-to-do, I think it'll be all of it." At which point, the young girl that's been serving food puts down the plate and runs across to this ragged-looking man and says, You can take all of our money all the time. We work so hard for this. Why don't you just leave us alone, or just give us an amount every week that we can manage?" Boom! At this point, there's a rather sickly crunching noise as the man in rags just turns around and punches this girl straight in the face. And by the sounds of it, probably breaking her jaw. And she just collapses instantly onto the floor. What are you all doing?
By the way, not me in rags, the other guy in rags.
Two different men in rags.
Yeah. Not the guy getting dressed in rags in the corner.
Short game for you, Dave, for a minute.
Food and hunger be damned.
Yeah.
Somebody needs some looking after there on the floor. So Traith will get up, head over, and just have a look and see if she is, well, alive or if it's done her in. And if she has, then I will begin ministering.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So Traith is going to head over to have a look at the girl. What about the rest of you?
At the same time, sorry, I'm getting very angry at what I've just seen.
Yep.
I will go up as well.
And everybody else?
How much of my clothing have I got on?
Enough.
Okay, it's like in a language only one of you understands, there's swearing coming from the one corner.
Okay.
Don, you understand that I'm swearing in Elven.
I don't want you to go too deep into what you're going to do just yet. I just have a rough impression what each of you are doing. Dan and Craig, Emrys and Riv, what are you intending to do? Just your initial few moments. What are you intending to do?
Is there anybody else looking at him or looking at the rest of us?
You are the only people in this inn, by the way.
Excellent. So, I'll stand up, grab my staff, and purposely walk towards the man.
And Riv?
Stupid, shady fucking inn. And I'll start loading my crossbow.
Fantastic. Okay. Nobody is casting spells, and nobody has a weapon currently loaded. So I am going to move straight away to everybody rolling an initiative. And the one person you can't see on there, I do apologize, is the gentleman himself. I'm going to put him up now.
Yes, this is the girl.
There you go. And she is now. If everybody can, they should be on your character sheet. There is an initiative highlight and roller.
Is it an open-ended roll?
It is not. No. So I'll do a quick round robin. Lumi.
A 33.
33. Ash.
28.
Traith.
80.
Wow. Riv.
58.
And Emrys.
78.
Yeah.
So we will go to Traith on your 80. So you originally intended to head towards the downed lady, but the moment that the various chairs shuffle and grate on the floor as various people maneuver, the thug, I suppose we could call him, immediately turns around to see who is making their various attempts to do something, draws a short sword and looks at you all and says, "Oh yeah? So which one of you idiots wants to try it then?" Back up to the tree.
What? Just a query. They're speaking human?
They're speaking human. It is
Which
actually a slang human here in Baletown that's it's a derivative form of many of the humans that you all know. The lawless area has its own form of dialect, but as long as you have at least one form of human in the rating around about a 6, you can get a rough idea of what is being said, even in some of the hardest of dialects. I will let you know if the language difference is that great that you have no idea what they're saying. As if it was like in our terms, if it was like a Russian to a Western to a Chinese. Yeah. If they're that great a difference, I'll let you know. Otherwise, there's enough common words for you to understand what's being said.
I don't speak human that well. So the response is, as I wander towards him in Elven, it will be along the lines of, "She's injured. I'm going to deal with her. You step back," and just put my hand out towards him as I walk quietly over there.
If you wish to move your character at least half of your movement in that direction, you can.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. As you do so and you start to approach, you can see that he doesn't clearly understand what you're saying. And although you're kind of giving a non-threatening move as you're going forward, he is definitely responding with a come any closer, and that metal object kind of thing that he's holding called a sword will be used against you.
I've left my staff propped in the corner as well.
Okay.
Just I'm not carrying it over with me.
Which one are you, Dom?
Emrys, I do believe you had the 78.
That is correct.
What are you doing?
As I said, pick up my staff, looking towards him.
Mm-hmm.
I move myself around this side towards him.
Jump.
And at this time, when I stand up, you notice, actually, I'm just under about 6'4".
Very tall. Is your staff in an offensive or defensive position?
I'm looking casual, shall we say, but I'm looking directly into his eyes.
Okay. I will move next to Bree. I do believe you had a 58.
Yep.
You are.
I'll hold where I am, considering I'm still loading the crossbow, presumably, and I'll just see what all these other weird individuals are doing before I decide to throw my lot in.
Okay. We will then move to Lumi.
So I'm going to move over, get in between him and the girl if I can.
The girl is now clearly unconscious on the floor. She went straight down when he hit her. So the only way to get in between them would be to stand over her, but that would literally be to stand right next to him.
Okay, then I will move up to here, and I will say, and in a language that no one else probably understands, how dare you treat people like that?
What language is it?
Say that?
What language is it?
Tone, do you know what language he speaks?
Do you wish me to check to see if anybody actually understands it? I have
Yeah.
a feeling I know what you're speaking in. Is it a form of human?
Yeah, it'd be good if you could tell us.
No, it's the
other one.
first one you put. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have got no idea what she said.
Okie dokie.
And then last of all, it is Ash.
So nobody appears to have any weapons that apart from somebody seriously loading a crossbow over there. Yeah.
Correct. Some people are one person's carrying a staff quite nonchalantly. The other two don't seem to be armed at all. There's some gentleman quickly loading a crossbow.
In that case, seeing I've got most of my clothing on, I sort of like unfurl myself and swearing in a fluid tongue, which I say only Dom understands, just swearing in general, like thrice blast and buggerations, damn those sodding squirrels.
The squirrels are always the worst.
That's a pretty deep swear in Elven, man.
Okay.
He's tall. I mean, really tall. You saw him hunkering last time, but he's well over 6. He's 6'6". He got long black hair, which is a bit unkempt. That's about all you can make out. He's got dark features, like very red, tan skin, high cheekbones, like a good-sized, sharp nose, and he just stands up and he's walking towards this chap with a sense of determination, and his armor seems to be quite dark, shall we say.
Is your greatsword out?
It's still in the scabbard.
Okay, so you're not actually approaching at the moment with any weapon drawn?
No, but I'm holding it because you can't really like sheath a great sword anywhere in particular. You've either got to
Oh,
carry
right.
it.
So you're holding the greatsword in both your hands. It's just still scabbard.
Yeah.
Right, that's fine. Okay. His action. At
moved
seeing
up with
you guys clearly approach, you don't quite know what the etiquette is here in town with this gentleman and how he's about. But it doesn't take you more than a moment to realize this is probably not the done thing. Most people in the town would probably run or hide or just cower. And because of the fact that people are daring to reprimand him, you can clearly see this infuriates him even more. He does a swift kick at the woman on the ground.
You see how this fate?
And to say, basically, you care for this stupid cow, and just gives it a kick. He then steps towards Lumi with his short sword, and he is actually going to take a swing for you. You don't think he's trying to murder you on the spot, so to speak, but you can clearly see he's aiming it in such a way whereby he wants to give you maybe a scar to remember this moment by. So he steps forward and he is going to attack. So this is Rolemaster. For your defense, you have several things. The first thing you have is your quickness. You can opt to give ground if you wish, forcing him to move again, in which case you will double your quickness. You have other defenses that you know about. There's no need for me to say them. But you can also, because his weapon is a slashing weapon, but he is not really using it in such a wild way that you, and it's only a short sword, you can use martial arts to block his actual arm swing if you wish. So, what are you doing for your defense?
We'll move away.
Okay, so you can back up 5 foot in any direction that's not towards him. Okay. He opts to follow.
Further away from me.
And I will try and block.
How much of your attack are you going to use to block with?
I don't know. Okay, there we go.
So, out of your martial arts skill, of which you have another 40, you can opt to put some of that other 40 also in as defense if you wish.
Yes.
Okay. How much?
All of it.
All of it. Fine. That's fine. Yeah, you go full defensive.
Nice.
So full defensive for you is 80 defense. That's a very substantial defense. The gentleman is... I say a gentleman. The thug will take a swing.
Armor's overrated.
He rolls 59 for the audience. My dice have just gone off the screen slightly. It's a wild miss. I mean, you think with his skill and your level of defense, you could probably full defense and dance around that kind of level of attack all day long.
I would like to literally do that.
No problem.
That would annoy him some more.
Thunder.
We will now move back on to Tree.
Okay.
He's obviously kicked at the woman on the floor, and now he's lunged for this other pale-skinned lady in the tavern.
This is just not on. You don't kick somebody when they're injured on the floor. It's just exasperated in Elven, as I will walk around him and see and check her. So I'm literally going to skirt. I don't know if you can see. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, just move each 5 foot in step. That's all. Yeah. Okay. You basically do your best to make sure you don't get within his short sword range. That's fine.
And then I will crouch down alongside her on the and just start having a look and see how bad that cracking bone sound generally was. Was it jaw or neck?
I will tell you in a moment.
Question.
Next after that, Emrys. He's actually moved right next to you, Emrys.
Yes, it does seem that. Yeah, Handley's moved right next to us. So I shall hit him.
Okay, with your staff.
Correct.
Go ahead. You actually connect with his torso with your quarterstaff as you swing it around. But underneath those rags of his, he clearly does have something reasonably rigid. You hear it kind of make a strange thunking noise as you hit him. And it
Metal
doesn't
or,
penetrate. Not metal, probably a leather of some kind, and it just makes a thunking noise as you hit him. He doesn't say ow, but you can see he's clearly annoyed by the fact that another patron has decided to have a swing at him. Okay, moving on. And Riv, your crossbow is loaded.
I think it might be time to fire.
You do have a clear shot at this gentleman's back. As such, actually, to the point whereby, because now he's been drawn away by the pale lady, he's really lost all sense of perception of your presence. So if you have any ambush skill whatsoever, you can utilize the ambush.
Alright. I don't want to go for any sort of brutal shot or anything on him. I just want to like incapacitate him in some regard. So maybe trying to shoot him in the leg?
Well, yeah, so roll first. Do you have any ranks in ambush?
I believe I have 1.
So add 5 to your roll to start with on your attack for the ambush.
Right. Yes, I do.
And then we'll see if we can move the critical towards the leg.
Okay.
If you score a critical.
Oh.
So close. So we're gonna have our first 99.
I thought you were gonna have a 90 something there. You release the crossbow bolt. Sadly, you fire it too high or too low if you're going for his leg, and it ricochets off the floor and just skitters off, and it doesn't actually do any damage to wherever it is. It ends up hitting. We will move on after after Riv
down under the table.
It is now Lumi, but because it's now your go, your turn actually refreshes at this point. So all of your offensive bonuses come back at this point.
Oh,
but just remember that if you use any now, and then he attacks you again, you're going to be using potentially next turns, or whatever you haven't used this turn. Yes, you're going to end up being in deficit. But for now, you have your full offensive bonus back.
What is he wearing?
He's wearing rags, but you just heard the staff hit him, and there's definitely some kind of leathery thunk when he hit from underneath his rags. He doesn't seem to be heavily encumbered, though.
Ooh. Then I will try and hit him. See what will happen.
Ooh. That's
God.
a natural one.
Right, first you could have
Oh my god, we go to our first Rolemaster fumble.
Oh, no.
A fumble with
Our
martial
first
arts.
Rolemaster fumble, martial arts fumble.
Oh dear.
Okay.
You're about to get the book. That's
I had to reach for the book.
Oh my word!
No.
I
Can you
still have
roll
rolled
a
above 30.
can you roll a percentage dice, please? You want as low as possible.
I don't know if I can look.
Another
How
one. Another one.
lose the character in the Rolemaster campaign.
Oh,
Oh, 95, oh my gosh.
No.
Okay.
25.
what's the 39 over there then? Oh,
Okay.
that's real dice.
You go to kick him, but because last turn you basically backed away and avoided his sword swing, as you go to kick him, you've left yourself completely off balance and you fall backwards, basically hitting yourself on the edge of that table behind you, sending the food and drink all over the place. And in doing so, you've left yourself stunned and unable to parry for 3 rounds.
Oh, that's a dangerous thing.
Right.
You basically hit the deck hard. We'll check to see whether or not you can get out of that in a moment.
So I see then her swing and a miss, a crossbow bolt go wild, a
Yes.
quarterstaff bounce off him. I like, God damn it! I throw the hilt off. Throw the scabbard
Wrap it
off,
off.
and basically from mid stance, I go thunk, 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 baseball bat.
You can't actually reach and hit him in this turn because you can only move a maximum of 50% of your move.
Yes, but you said I had 10-foot reach.
Was that still within 50 foot of your move?
Yep. That was in 25
right,
foot
okay.
of my
Hang
move.
on. My mistake then. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. In that case, you do have 10-foot reach with your greatsword. You lumber in, pull back, and let loose. Give us a roll. I mean, a greatsword is clearly something the rest of you are going to be looking to try and avoid.
Ooh,
Oh my
112.
god. Okay.
I could be
112 with a greatsword. We will read this one out. This is a very, very solid connection with this gentleman. And you can roll me a critical, please. Oh my god. A 74.
This basically is scum. This is the same sort of scum that I just got.
Okay. You run up, or as best you can, you lumber up in your armor. You take this swing and you kind of go for a low swing rather than not to try and kill him outright. And in doing so, you slash right across the back of his leg, severing through the muscles and the tendons in his one leg. And he just screams out in pain as his one leg basically collapses from underneath him. And he drops to the one knee on the ground. Ow. Lots of ow. Okay. It's his go. He is stunned. He will try and see if he can react. Oh, yes. 85. He can react enough to turn around and defend himself from his assailants. And in doing so, he will curse at you all and basically say, "Oh, you're all gonna bloody well die! Come on, you little shits!" And he stands there with his short sword, waiting to lunge at the first person that steps within range that he can possibly lunge at with his short sword.
I only got a few words of that. Something, I want to die?
Something about dying and shits. You're not quite sure the whole sentence, but that's just some of it. Correct.
I want to die. Oh, okay.
It is your go, and you can give me a first aid roll, please, to have a quick assess. This is going to be quite quick because you're talking 10 seconds. It's just that initial look at this lady.
The question is her head pointing in the wrong direction? That shouldn't take more than a second to ascertain.
This won't take long. If you roll badly, you can't actually make things worse at this point because you haven't got time to make things worse, really. You're not going to do anything stupid like try and shake her until you can make a rough assessment.
95.
95. You, on a 95, you can make another roll in a moment. It's not a success, but it's enough of a success for you to look at her and take a quick ponder and think, nothing seems to be out of place. Her side of her face already is starting to swell up even a few seconds later. So clearly something is really wrong.
Is she breathing?
You have to get quite close. You could pull her and drag her away from the fight.
That's why I crouched down over her.
Oh, okay, fair enough. He won't react to you. He's not going to stab at you. He's more worried about the guy with the great sword, to be honest. So in which case, I'll let you have your second reroll straight away. Go on. Okay. Give me another reroll.
Nope.
You realize that your level of skill, you need some time to actually. You think she's alive, and in your effort to crawl over her, she kind of make a little moaning noise, so she potentially is at least semi-conscious. So that gives you enough idea of the fact she's clearly not dead. But within the time limit you've had within still those 10 seconds, you don't know whether or not she's on the way to dying or comaing or whatever.
In Elven, she's dead.
In Elven, she's dead. Not a worry at all. Okay, we will move on to Emrys. Although you took a strike at him and bounced, you can think he's clearly interested in the guy with the greatsword. However, you are within range of his short sword, and should you give him any excuse to lash out at you, you think he probably will. You're still going to attack him with the staff, yeah?
So what's the sort of bonus you get for him being on the floor then?
He's semi-prone. He basically can't use his quickness. He can use his parry. He's not actually laying down. He's kind of down onto one knee.
Oh, nice.
Get in there.
Oh my god. 164. Okay. The
wizard.
The
That's what
maximum,
happens when you pick on girlies.
I do believe your staff can max out above 150. Is that correct? I do believe you're on Ironwood.
Nice.
So, because you can max out beyond 150, you actually... Can you roll me a crush critical, please?
Oh, 77.
77.
He's not having a good day.
Ah. Okay,
Even
and
this
I need a follow-up roll as well, so I need another one off you.
Oh.
Brilliant. No worries.
I was hoping it was going to be a 77 followed by an 88 because that would have just been grotesque.
That would have been handy, wouldn't it?
Where he was holding out his short sword, getting ready to parry and potentially counter the guy with the great sword, you come down really hard with your quarterstaff and you hear the cracking noise as his elbow shatters. His sword goes flying across the floor, and as the second limb of this gentleman is literally crushed and made useless, he leans forward and passes out on the floor. Well done. I will move for everybody else in the round just in case they're going to do anything at all. So, Riv, you could have reloaded by now if you wish to have.
Well, I would have until the point I saw the guy pass out, in which case I will unload.
Okay, no worries. And then we
Please don't
will move on to Bree. Bree, can you give me a stun maneuver, or are you just going to lay on the floor and just happily lay there for a moment or two getting your bearings?
I'll get up if I can.
Yeah, just give me a
stun that
stun maneuver roll. Because you've suffered 3 rounds of stun, it's actually harder to break than usual. At the moment, for you, you're just not quite sure why you're looking at the ceiling, or what really has happened. You attempt to make a kind of tumble to try and get back to your feet, but you end up just facing the ceiling in a slightly different direction. So yeah, for the moment, you're just still getting your bearings back. We will move on to Ash. You're the last person.
He goes down with a broke. Now, I quick ascertain he's gone out. He's no longer for this world.
He has a leg that is basically severed to the bone and is bleeding everywhere. He has a weapon arm that is not facing in the correct direction for his joint.
I'm liking the sound of it so far.
He is out, definitely.
Seeing as that somebody else has tried to fight this ruffian, I shall go over to the downed person and
I will
up.
drop you all out of combat.
Okay. Are you okay? Get up, and I will carry. I will try and put my arm under her armpit and lift her up.
I'm not sure that Treath will actually allow you until he's finished assessing the woman to see if you will.
I thought he was going for.
No. I'm going for Bree.
Oh,
I said
Bree, Lumi, that's fine.
I said the other competent.
That's fine. Yeah.
I'll actually go there and lift her up.
Lumi, within a second or two, realizes which way's up, looks angrily at the table and the food spilt everywhere, and just realized that, yeah, that didn't go so well for her initial hello. But things like that happen. Immediately, the barman, he comes rushing around the bar. Oh my God! What the bloody hell's going on? He runs over and he just kicks the guy that's already down and bleeding. The bastard had it coming anyway, he says. And at which point...
Bad speak human. She dying, think can save, need hot water.
He looks at you, corrects himself as his priorities. In doing so, he pulls out a dagger, leans down and stabs the guy on the floor, just to make sure. Comes straight over to you and starts basically saying stuff that is almost indescribable in human. Even for those who understand human, you're not really sure what accent he's saying, and the fact he's saying it so fast, you're not sure what is going on.
there in the great sword wielder. Yes, you, the one who swears a lot in this nice, pretty language of which I speak. Tell this human person that she's dying and that I need some hot water for her, please.
The girl's my daughter, he says, and she looks okay. He's bloody broken her jaw though. At which point the girl is actually coming around. She is just crying and holding the side of her face, and she's in and out of consciousness to a certain degree.
No.
He says she's broken his. He has broken her jaw.
And he's not quite sure who clearly here is the best medic, but since you clearly seem to be shouting commands for hot water, he will just go and get some hot water. He's gone. He's left off around the back.
That was foolhardy of you to a weapon. I say to Bree. I say to Lumi.
Well, it usually works a lot better than that.
I saw you slipped on that banana peel down there.
I've had a little bit too much wine tonight.
Foolhardy but brave at least. We can't stay here long. This ruckus will bring others.
Well, let's see what the barman says. Is it his establishment? Does anyone know?
I've only just come here, and I go and rescue my scabbard.
Would you like a bound of cloth to bind her jaw to the top of her head and perhaps tie a knot on top of her head?
Cloth. Yes.
Sure. I'd say
I think he's trying to offer you a bandage, dear boy.
You speak Elven, I say.
Indeed.
Thank God, somebody that speaks a decent language around here. She's possibly swallowed blood or something. The jaw is broken, it's swelling. I don't want it to block her airway.
I shall have a look in my bag to see if I have any herbs.
I have the herbs. I need the water to brew them.
Ah, okay. He says that he will be brewing the herbs.
I do speak Elven.
Oh,
I'm not sure what languages Riv and Lumi speak, but yeah, you probably don't understand Elven. The looks of their faces.
I will translate for the others if they wish.
We will transliterate.
Yeah, you'll probably have to try and find yourself a common tongue in a moment between the lot of you. However, in the meantime,
every time you speak Elven with the phrase "hoopy floopy floop."
Me.
In the meantime, the tavern owner or a barman comes back. He is carrying some water with him.
You old man with stick. You have cloth, you say? Yes? Please? For bandage?
What language you speak?
Hoopty floopty floop.
Was that Elven or human?
Bad human.
Are you sure you haven't hit your head somewhere that I did not notice? Did he strike you, perhaps?
No. His sword didn't come anywhere near me, old boy.
It's at this point that the barman tries to take control slightly. The pair of you do us a favor and just lock the front doors for us.
Certainly.
We can't afford anybody else to come in.
I'll go and retrieve the short sword as well.
Craig, before Emrys actually leaves, do you actually have some cloth to throw towards?
I do, yes. I was referring to obviously a triangular bandage.
If you have one, that would be awesome.
Just hand it over to you.
Thank you. I will, Tony, dip it in the hot water and start to make a poultice.
And as I give it to you, I'll say, my name is Emrys, as opposed to old man with a stick.
Thank you. Traith.
Is anybody going towards the doors to lock them?
If you notice.
Good man.
On Le Map.
Yeah.
Le Map.
I will go about trying to find where my bolt went.
I think it went to Tuesday.
Yeah, it's probably stuck in the far wall. A bolt is a little harder to break than an arrow, but because you didn't actually really connect with anything, I'll say for now that it's actually intact. Because it probably just hit a wooden target. There's a few targets shooting on the opposite wall. It's fine.
Okay. Well, I will go and collect it. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Uh,
Sorry.
Move yourself over to that wall then, the lower wall.
Emrys? Emrys,
Indeed.
could you check the body of the ruffian that attacked her? See if there was any recompense for the barman for the injury to his daughter.
I will look for a pouch, and if I see one, I will put it on the bar.
GM?
Yep.
Would you like a herb law rollout of me and a first aid check with time to prepare and do it properly, like do it slowly?
You are going to brew which herb?
Probably something to actually heal some of the concussion damage, which I got to make it eat, and then something for the bone healing. So a bouquet leaf for the concussion damage, which hopefully if I can get her to just basically chew it up a little, although that might be hard. Maybe I'll just steep it in some water and then get her to swallow. And then a little bit of the Arfanda stem, but I'll turn that into a poultice using the cloth.
That's fine. The leaves are very easy to prepare. You can make me a herb law roll, but because you're not under duress, although you like rolling low,
I do like rolling low.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Dom.
Yeah. A 49 is only just a fail, and because it's only just a fail, I'll say actually you end up using twice as much as you need to.
Yeah, 2 units as opposed to 1.
The Anfadas is a little bit more complicated to prepare. You're quite capable of doing it, but if you could make me a herb law roll a lot higher than that one, please.
Well, I probably can't, but we'll give it a go.
You were saying?
Wow. Okay. 216.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, I can't do it. I can't do it. No way.
Okay.
To eat beef is the hardest part. Putting a poultice on her, that's the easy bit.
Wow. Okay.
Load the poultice gun.
I will say, actually, in the fact that you've rolled open-ended 216 on your herb law, that not only do you not use up any of your supplies in preparing that, you've managed it so well, but also on the next time you make an Anfadas roll, can you add +20 to it?
Yes.
Just make a little note on that skill.
Amphidas Master.
Amazing. Well done. Okay, you skillfully sit there and grind up or prepare these herbs and start applying them to them. To the level, especially after that second roll, where everybody else is kind of in awe. You clearly either must be a master or you're just doing stuff that doesn't make any sense to them. But anybody who's got any kind of herb law
Nod sagely.
is going like, that's an interesting way to do it. Very, very, very impressive.
I'll probably be stuck trying to pull a bolt out of a wooden.
I'll commit that to memory, Tony.
Well, you know, okay. Okay, so you successfully managed to bind up this woman. She tries to speak and talk, but obviously she can't. It's just her jaw is clearly fractured from the hit. She's probably not going to be very well for a little while, but with the herbs you've got on there, you think where it would normally maybe take her a week or two to fully recover from that, then especially on the 216, maybe 5 days she'll be back to talking normal. It'll be bruised, but it should free up enough for her to carry on talking.
Man, BSL, this daughter yours needs rest. 5 moons.
Okay, I'll come back to that in a moment. Emrys was actually checking the clothing of the thug. And in doing so, you have found he had obviously his iron short sword. Besides that, underneath his garments, he actually had what you think is a soft deer skin undergarment and braces. He also has in his pouch 16 gold crowns, so sovereigns, and 45 silver crowns.
Ah,
Obviously done the protection racket route this evening.
Correct.
you can find out who's had this lot off.
That's a lawful lot of money for somebody to be walking around the street with. So clearly, this is probably one of his last calls. The barman, now that things calmed down slightly, starts shaking his head, thinking, "Oh my god, of course."
What is going on here? Who is this man?
Well, he works. Well, first of all, thank you all. I'm glad he's dead. He's part of Hagen's group that run the town, and I
Do I know that
suppose
name?
there's only going to be so long before they worry where he is. So we need to get you and the body out of town as quick as we can.
Well, we best not find the body here, so perhaps
No.
we should put it in the drink. Not the drink we drink, but the sea.
We can take it out of the tavern. They'll at night they'll stop it.
What about out the back door?
Give me a moment.
Is there are there any bowls of food around?
She was actually bringing food out.
To who?
To
Because there's only 5 of us here.
somebody. But
What?
there's more food prepared there. Just for any patrons that come in. He's not that bothered. If one of you starts mentioning the fact that you're hungry or you're about food, he will just gesture to the food prepared at the end of the bar and just say, "Help yourself." There's some chicken and stuff up there.
Poof!
God.
He then says, he's like, okay, he said. Well, first I need to find a way to thank you guys for looking after my daughter.
Have you got a small hand cart and some blankets, perhaps?
No, I got better than that.
Perhaps a
He says,
beer
first of all, he says, there's no way you can leave this in tonight. They're not going to come in. They're not going to check you probably until dusk, and till dawn, and they'll wonder where he is. So, in the stables, I've got a wagon set ready to go with 4 empty barrels on it that I was going to get somebody to take to Tugton and fill it with some more bogmog ale. And what we could do, we could stick his body on the wagon underneath a bit of tarp. And I mean, some of you look a bit strange, so maybe some of you could probably do it hiding under the tarp too. But he points at Riv. He says,
Barrel.
You look like a town guy. If you and maybe he points at Emrys, and you drive the cart, you could actually do me a favor. At the same time, if you take the cart to Tugton to get me 4 barrels of bogmog ale, I'll give you the money so you can buy it. I need the barrels anyway. When you get to Tugton, before you go into Tugton, you can dump the body off in the swamp. It'll be gone in a day or 2 in the swamp. Nobody will ever find it.
And I'm sure it'll add an interesting flavour to the beer that's put in that barrel.
They don't quite make the ale from swamp water.
No,
but yeah, I know.
Will be in the barrel.
Oh no, don't stick him in the barrel. You'll ruin my barrel. Those barrels are expensive, man.
How far is this swamp?
Oh, Tugton, he says. If you don't know the area, Tugton's an easy travel. There's only really one road heading out of here. So you follow that road and keep going east. It goes to Tugton. There's there's a few other side junctions. I'll get you a little map drawn up if you wish. It's about 2 days. You'll probably have to stop over somewhere along the way. There's usually quite burnt out areas whereby when we go on a merchant track down there, people usually put up camp. You could use one of those. There might even be merchants actually camped up there, but not a lot of open merchant travel these days. That's why I was actually waiting to look for some people to go and get me 4 more barrels of my bogmog. Otherwise, I'd have to pay them to bring it, and they charge a bit extra to do that. So,
So do you actually
yeah, that'd
want
be
to
great.
come back to this town?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Do yourselves a favor. I don't need my ale right now. I've got a couple of barrels left. But if you go down to Tugton, arrange to buy my 4 barrels of my ale, hang out there for a couple of days, maybe a week, keep low. By then, everything here would have blown over. You come back, I'll pay you extra 20 gold pieces for your effort of going to get my my barrels. How does that sound?
Gold is always good.
Fantastic. That'd be great. Right, I tell you what, you're welcome to stay here obviously for the night. You can use the rooms upstairs if you want, but I'm locking the place down now, so you can stay down here. You can go and use one of the rooms. Do what you want. I mean, if you want something to drink, I've got some Bogmog ale, and I got some of my own liquor that I create. If you want to try a bit of that,
Oh,
but
some ale.
first thing in the morning, if you can
Great.
head out, that'd be great.
Be great. I would prefer not to stay in this town any longer than I have to.
To be honest, the gang of people that he can use, they're more active at night than they are during the day.
Is that gang the same gang as the one that run the slave pits in the...
Yeah, Hagen Red Eye, he's the captain of the Willbreaker. He's a slaver.
Yeah,
That's all right.
I prefer to get the hell away from here as quickly as I possibly can. So, safety in numbers, I am not going out on my own because you say they're active. I'll leave in the morning. If anybody is coming, that would be great.
I think, indeed, have a bite to eat. Perhaps introduce ourselves around here.
Yeah. Make yourself comfortable. I'll tell you
Ale
what.
would certainly not go amiss.
I'll make sure that Delpha's she's resting out the back, and I'll my daughter, and then my name's Gorga Main, by the way. Thank you very much for what you've done here tonight. That bastard had it come into him, and I would have done it myself, except the fact he would have kept me gut the flipping chin, I tell you. But yeah, make yourselves at home here a sec. I'll just put it to rest. I'll get you all some food, and what do you want to drink?
Ale would be fine.
A bogmog.
Yeah, so ale will do.
A bogmog for you, and for
A
the
water.
lady, a water.
Yeah, I've clearly had enough.
I can get you some water.
Can you drink the water around here?
I'm sorry calling you the elf bloke. I don't quite know your name. The one that was so kind to look after the daughter.
Traith.
Traith. Drink.
Yes. Have you any language? Excuse me. What's the word for cow juice?
Oh, milk.
He'd like some milk, please.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Actually, I think we got some for cooking.
That will do.
But we can get you some of that.
As long as it's not too lumpy.
Or goat juice?
Or good milk.
It does actually come from a cow. I'll get you that. And the little chap, yeah, with the bow. Although I say little, you're quite a big chunk.
Sure. I think he just called you
Proud of that one. I'll try some of that liquor of yours.
You want some of my the brass nail home spirit, do you?
I can put hairs on your...
That'll make you sleep till dawn, I can tell you. No problem, I'll get you some of that. Okay.
I lift the corpse up and put it in the one corner.
He actually asks if you can all help take it out to the actual wagon, and while you're all relaxing later on, he's just going to make sure that the horses are all harnessed up and ready to go first things in the dawn, and you'll make sure the tap's covered and all that kind of stuff.
Don't worry, I've got this. Lift.
Later on, then, whilst he goes out to help the horses, I'll go and help him. Give him a hand.
Fine.
That's late.
At the moment, then, he leaves you to yourself, and he goes and gets you all food and drink, etc. And
Sorry.
That's a wrap, guys.
Excellent.
Thanks for introducing yourselves. Yeah, next session you can have the fun of trying to get the hell out of town.
And determining what language we can all speak.
And finding a language you can all speak.
Figure that one out.
That would be a good idea this evening while we were drinking, is to have a decision on the bloody languages.
Exactly. I think that could be your first port of order, is trying to find a common language that you can all try and get away with.
I think everybody should speak Elvish.
Anyway, thank you very much. I'll see you all next week.
See you next week.
Catch you guys around.
Bye, folks.